This is Just a Few Questions. Just a Few Questions. I'm your host, Marc Sims from Chicago. And I have on the line Henry Davis Jr., 2nd District council person, a council member from South Bend, Indiana, on the phone. Henry Davis Jr., are you saddened that Mayor Pete, a person that you ran against Mayor Pete for mayor, so you know Mayor Pete, are you saddened that Mayor Pete has dropped out so early?
No, I'm not saddened. I mean, I hate that, he had to pack it in and, move on to something new. But no, I'm not saddened. He wasn't my candidate. I wish that, South Bend could have gained something from it or out of it, but neither of those things happened. So it's just a part of competition. You win some, you lose some,
Henry Davis, what do you think? Why do you think Mayor Pete, former Mayor Pete, if you will, Mayor Pete of South Bend, Indiana, why do you think Mayor Pete didn't garner a lot of African American support and other people of color? Why did he get the support of people of color in this campaign?
Well, because his campaign wasn't focused on the people of color in the United States of America, black people, Latino people, and all the others that may be out there. Mayor Pete didn't have a track record of working hard for people of color, black people, more importantly. He had a really rough record of his issues with black people here in South Bend, and that wasn't going to translate into national support for black people within the Democratic primary. That wasn't going to happen. There was no way that he was going to be able to spin the idea that he really was working for black people with a Douglas plan when the people that are black in South Bend are suffering under, extreme economic conditions. You're not going to say that you're against police brutality when there is a decision being made this coming Friday about a black man that was killed under suspicious circumstances by an officer. So, I mean, you have all of these glaring examples that are happening in real time due to his leadership or lack of, and so he's going to go out to the country and say, hey, I'm the candidate. Well, you can't be the candidate for those people because those people know that you haven't done well for the people in South Bend that look like them. And this is how it works, it's the background, it's the experience.
Yeah, because Mayor Pete, I know he ran for, I forgot, different offices. Of course, I saw him the first time on TV when he's running for the Democratic Party chairman, or whatever that group, and he lost, I think, to Tom Perez, I think. And the thing about that is that, do you think that somebody from the Democratic Party, like a Tom Perez or somebody, the big honcho, said, Mayor Pete, we got to consolidate these things. Centrists got to consolidate this vote. You got to drop out now. Do you think he got a phone call?
I don't know how that works. He very well could have gotten a phone call. He very well could have been asked to step out. I mean, but what are you going to do, right? So you win Iowa, and there's an asterisk next to that win because no one knows who won, but we're going to give it to him, and he collects delegates. And then New Hampshire, you place number 2. And so that is, not a win. That's number 2. And then you go to Nevada, where you are in more of a diverse state. You get, number 3 or number 4? And then you run to South Carolina, where you have an overwhelming number of blacks that are part of the electorate down there, and you lose miserably down there. So, what do you think your chances are? You go from 1, 2 to 3 to 4 each state, so you're dropping like really, really fast. You need to collect more campaign dollars to carry on. That's not going to happen. So, I mean, the writing was on the wall. It was just he used his time, in a way to increase his visibility with a state that was going to do it for him, and that was, Iowa. After Iowa was over, he became, again, a loser. I would hate to say it like that, but that's what it is. You're losing. If you're not number 1, you've lost. That's just how that works.
Yeah, the thing about it is that some people, I'm spending this time on Mayor Pete because Mayor Pete's campaign is a cautionary tale for other candidates, whether it's national or local, who want to gain the black vote or anybody of color. You know, this country is changing so fast. And a lot of folks, I know Mayor Pete is smart. He's, I can't say the word strategic, okay? But the point is that he didn't, it's a cautionary tale. I don't want to spend too much time on Mayor Pete, but I say that because a lot of folks don't really realize this country is becoming a country of color. And I don't know if a lot of folks, even the Democratic Party, is making that shift. I'm not saying I'm promoting Bernie Sanders, but a lot of folks like me is not going to never really make no money, not going to make some money. And guess what? We want our Uncle Sam to support us. I'm sorry, it sounds mean, but I want my Uncle Sam to support me and the 40 acres and a mule, any other reparations. But you know what I'm saying? So do you think people like Mayor Pete understand the future of this country?
Sure. I mean, statistically speaking, over the last few years, you started to see reports saying, I think it was like 2030 or was it 2050? I'm not sure which one of those two dates. I'm very unclear right now. But here in the future, that you're going to have a country where the white male will no longer be a dominant population, and the dominant population will be people of color, whether that's black, whether that's Latino, or is that combined. But it will overtake what we know of what America looks like right now, and that's coming soon. It's coming down the pipeline very fast. So the idea and the thought pattern and process of how America looks, the leadership looks, all of those things is going to change. It's a demographic change. It's what we used to call natural selection when we were in college taking biology classes. It's just a process of species. They mate and they overcome the barriers in their area, and they become more dominant. And it takes time. It's part of an evolution, is what the professor said. So that is what's going to happen. And we're living it right now. As far as Pete being smart. Being smart doesn't win an election, and sometimes even like being the best candidate doesn't necessarily qualify you to be the best to win an election. It's what you bring to the table and how you're able to convince people to vote for you is how you usually win an election. I've won a few of my own. I mean, at a smaller level. But that is usually consistent, is how you are able to get people to understand that you are the top candidate. And that doesn't say that you give the best speeches. That doesn't say that, you can raise the most money. Although those things are a part of the process, it's not, the silver bullet, no pun intended, but it's not the silver bullet. You have to be able to convince people not only that you're the best candidate, but you can actually do the job. And you can only convince people that you can do the job if you have already done the job in some way. And so that's why you're starting to see some of these people drop out.
I got to ask you a big favor. I need to do 2 podcasts. I'm going to end this one, and then I'm going to do a second part 2 about South Bend and the future of the United States of America. All these heavy questions. But let me end this part of the podcast, Henry Davis, about Mayor Pete. What is Mayor Pete's future? I mean, because it ain't in South Bend. We know that. What's his future, man?
I have no clue. Hopefully he has, a great future. I wish no ill will or ill intent, on him. I think that he has a lot to offer, to the world, and because he has a profile, and obviously he can raise quite a few dollars. He'll be useful to someone somewhere.
But not in Indiana. He's probably not even Indiana, right?
I mean, but it could be Indiana. But I think he feels like he's bigger than Indiana, South Bend, and even the Midwest. I think he sees, these bright, glaring, flashing lights in, probably D.C. or some other large city, because that's, the profile that he wants as a person. And you know what? This is America. This is life, free will. You're allowed that. I just think that it won't be here in South Bend. Well, I know it won't be here in South Bend. And good luck.
Henry Davis Jr. has been a pleasure. Let me stop this part of the podcast, and we're going to talk about in the second podcast about South Bend's future, because it's really a reflection of the entire country and this income inequality. So let's stand by. Let's do part 2, man.